background. I think we are rather unique in the marketplace. Our company is nearly 50 years old. We'll be 50 in 2020. And so if we look back on those years, this company introduced to the marketplace 50 years ago a product that I'm sure you're all familiar with today. We were the company that introduced smoke detectors for the home, and obviously that was a huge success. And it laid the foundation for great success to come, really with a focus on the safety, well-being, and health of mankind. Our company has brought and continues to bring great products to people. In the early 80s, we went into the field of environment with water filtration and air filtration products for the home, and continuing to diversify over the years. A little over 25 years ago, we entered the field of health technology, and with the Juice Plus product line, and what a wonderful find that was, not only for our own health and well-being, but for the people that we love and those that we come across on a daily basis. And for many of you, you know we've been getting together every Monday night for over 28 years now, and we've never missed a Monday night, but it's been a wonderful place to congregate, to really stay connected, to bring good ideas and information to one another, inspiration and motivation, but education as well. And we're very fortunate tonight to have someone who has a lot to share and who we all admire and love a great deal. She is part of our organization as well. And so I'm going to introduce our speaker because I think she's perfectly timed here with this topic being Valentine's week. And when we all think about the heart and love that we have for one another, what better topic than to talk about the heart of the matter as far as our health is concerned. So our very special speaker tonight is Dr. Tamara Sachs. She is also a National Marketing Director within this organization. But Dr. Sachs, to give you a little background, graduated with honors from the Mount Sinai School of Medicine in New York City and completed her residency in internal medicine in New Haven, Connecticut at St. Raphael Hospital and Yale University Medical Center. Prior to obtaining her bachelor's degree in molecular biology and physiology, Dr. Sachs studied naturopathic medicine for several years in France. She was an emergency medicine doctor for 10 years after that. But since 2003, she has been a functional medicine doctor, preventing and treating the root causes, not just the symptoms of chronic illness. She has a unique focus, including diet, nutrition, toxicity, and individualized cutting-edge medicine. Dr. Sachs helps people regain their health and optimize their vitality. Her office is in New Milford, Connecticut, and she also consults virtually with patients from all over the world using video chats and phone consultations. Her website is full of great resources to help live a healthier life, and really to find, and you can find her at, I can send this out, is it T? You're going to have to say it.
Just my name. Just Google my name. That's all.
Google
T. Sachs.
her name, Dr. Tamara Sachs. Okay.
T. Sachs, S-A-C-H-S.
T. Sachs. That's what it is.
There you go.
TSACHSMD.com. And so it is topic tonight, as I said, so timely as we think about our heart from not only emotional standpoint, but let's think about it from a physical standpoint too. And Dr. Sachs, there's no one better than she to share really great information with you. So I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you. It's really such an honor to do this every year for Valentine's Day. I'm very grateful. And I'm grateful because we don't talk a lot about heart disease anymore. It seems to have gotten off topic. But I'm here to tell you that 70% of all deaths from cardiovascular disease are preventable. And that's something that we do need to talk about because cardiovascular disease is the number one or two, depending on how you count. It's still a huge cause of death and disability in this world. So 70% of all cardiovascular deaths are preventable, and I think that medications in modern medicine, if you will, can help many of the remaining 30%. So my feeling is that if we could combine the best of nutrition and lifestyle with smart, judicious use of medications and medical interventions, we could completely change our healthcare system, not to mention save over 500,000 lives a year and the impact that has on their families. So this 70% preventable figure is very well established and accepted by medical experts. It's been around for too long. I was hoping that 20 years on, that number would be smaller, that we would have prevented some of them, and we were only left with 20% that were now preventable. But the 70% number has not seemed to change, and the prevention part has to do with diet, exercise, the way we live, the way we love, the way we connect. All of those things. Cardiovascular disease is a very complicated process. It's not a gene. It's not a one anything. It's a lot of things. And that's good and bad. It also means we have a lot of ways that we can help to prevent it. So I agree with several medical experts. There was a great editorial about this a few years back, and he was simply saying that we have 30 years of science here. We don't need more studies. We don't need more science. What we need is how to figure out how to help people implement these diet and lifestyle changes that we know work. So that's what this community seems to do. So we're all on the same page here, or at least the new folks. I hope you will get on the page, because the page we're talking about is food. It's a plant-based diet. It's very well established that a plant-based diet, like a Mediterranean-style diet, is by far the best overall diet. All authorities agree. Michael Pollan, his 7 eloquent words said it best: eat food, not too much, mostly plants. No one has been able to improve on those 7 words. Food being real food, right? Stuff that your great-grandparents would recognize as food is what he means by eat food, not the stuff in the middle of the grocery store, but the stuff on the outside aisles. Not too much, and mostly plants. He didn't say only plants, mostly plants. We all agree that a plant-based diet is what's important. It doesn't seem to matter very much, at least in large populations, what the other small percentage is, whether you're vegan, vegetarian or not, or pegan, which is the new term, omnivore, which is what I think I am, as long as the bulk of your diet, say 60 to 80% probably is a better number, is plants. The rest is very forgiving, if you will. So assuming that none of us smoke cigarettes and that we're moderately active, right? Assuming those 2 things, then diet is the most important factor in both preventing and treating just about everything, just about every bad chronic illness you can think of, but specifically tonight, certainly cardiovascular disease falls in this category. And by the way, cardiovascular disease includes a lot of things that you may not think of. It's all the heart conditions that you might think of, heart attacks and angina, chest pain, sudden death. Also, it actually includes congenital heart disease, which we're not talking about tonight. But cardiovascular disease also includes blood pressure problems. It also includes strokes. It also includes erectile dysfunction, and it also includes about 1/4 of all dementias. So it's a lot of stuff that affects almost all of us. It's figured that about 1/2 to 1/3 of adult Americans have something in that heading, whether it's blood pressure or plaque or TIAs or the others. So this affects all of us, whether it's us personally or our family or our parents. It's really an important thing. So, I mentioned that cardiovascular disease is the number 1 or 2, depends on what year and how you kind of play the numbers, if you will. But it's way up there in the number 1 cause of death for the last 10, 20 years. But it didn't used to be. I find this really interesting that 100 years ago it was number 10 cause of death. And then the things, except infections, haven't changed. The things that kill us haven't changed, trauma, infections. It's the order, the numbers. And so 100 years ago, cardiovascular disease, heart attacks and strokes happened to the elderly. It was the way elderly folks died. It was a common cause of death in your 80s, 90s, and so on. And if you were able to survive the infections of 100 years ago and the trauma without a lot of good hospital ERs, then you were likely to live till a good long age. 70, 80, 90 was not uncommon, and there were no nursing homes back then. So you had to be able to fend for yourself. and yet still all of that, it was not a common cause of death at all. So a lot of things had changed, and you guessed it, the things that we put in our mouth 3 times or more a day is one of the biggest changes. There's, of course, also stress and environmental pollutants and lots of other things, but I did mention in the beginning that cardiovascular disease is not one thing and is not caused by one thing. So let's keep that in mind, but still, what can we do to understand why it's such a devastating and so common problem? So let's understand why plant foods are so crucial to this problem and to health in general. And let's look a little bit at what causes cardiovascular disease. It's the same causes of almost every chronic illness that we look at. And I'm talking about causes at a cellular level or smaller even, molecular level. And so at the end of the day, everything comes down to pretty much 4 things. Cardiovascular disease certainly comes down to these 4 things, but a lot of other chronic illnesses do too. So the 4 things are inflammation. We all know what inflammation looks like. Just imagine a cut that you have that's gotten infected, right? It's red, it's swollen, it's hot, and it hurts. That's inflammation. And acute inflammation, short-term, to help an infected cut heal is great. We're talking here about chronic low-grade inflammation, which is not so great. The second of these 4 things is called oxidative stress, which simply means rancid fat. That's how I look at it. It's fat that's gone rancid. And you all know what that looks like in the kitchen. It's thicker, and it smells bad. And everything that comes in contact with it smells bad. It's just rancid. And oxidative stress is from the lack of antioxidants, but it makes things rancid. And here we're talking about cardiovascular disease, so it makes cholesterol and those kinds of important fats rancid as well. So oxidized cholesterol, not a good thing. The third thing of these 4 is insulin resistance, also called glycation, which just means too much sugar. Too much sugar in the bloodstream, not in the cells themselves. That's the problem with insulin resistance. And you can think of it like the crust of a loaf of bread. So the heat and the sugar in the dough combine to form a crust. The sugar hardens and changes. The inside of the bread stays nice and soft, but the part that has oxygen and heat becomes hard. And that happens in the body as well to certain proteins. And once you glycate a protein or once you cook a loaf of bread, you can't uncook it. Those proteins stay crusty. So that's the third cause of most chronic diseases, especially heart disease. And the 4th is toxins. And there are many in our environment, and some of you know I talk about that a lot, but we make some toxins too. We make metabolites of food, for example. You know, the leftovers of what we burn for energy is a toxin. But one toxin in particular is important in cardiovascular disease, and that's called homocysteine. And it's a toxin that we make. I shouldn't say it's a toxin. It's a toxin at high levels. It's a compound that we make in the body from food. It's kind of inevitable, and we need a small amount of it actually. But once it gets to higher levels, above 8 or so, it starts to become toxic to the cells that touch it. And at very high levels, we know that it is very toxic to blood vessels especially. And so those are the 4 causes. And we know that all 4 of these things that hurt us, only if they're ongoing or chronic, but all 4 of them can be reversed or prevented with colorful plant foods. And specifically, it's been shown that all 4 of these mechanisms, if you will, of chronic illness as well as heart disease can be prevented when colorful plant foods are eaten every day and at every meal. That's the catch. Sorry. It's not that easy, right? There was a great study that some of you may have heard about. It was kind of famous in the day. It's called the DASH study, and it was a huge study. It convinced a lot of doctors back in the day. It showed that eating 10 servings a day of vegetables was better or equivalent to the average blood pressure pill. For example, it showed more things than that, but pretty powerful stuff, 10 servings a day. And other studies have also consistently shown you get risk reduction from every single increase in servings of vegetables, more so than fruit because there's less sugar in vegetables. But there seemed to be no plateau, meaning the more servings you got a day, the lower your risk of stroke and heart disease. It was pretty impressive. It just kept going up and up. But at the end of the day, how many servings of vegetables can we eat in, 12 hours or whatever it is? So I'm very pleased. I'm thrilled to share with you all a little bit of the research, just a little bit of the scientific proof that the concentrated produce that's found in the Juice Plus capsules also works and prevents all 4 of these causes of chronic disease, including cardiovascular disease. We know this for sure. We now have what scientists call a body of research. I love that term. It's like a flock of birds, or we have a body of research. What that means is a lot of different people looking at things in every which way. We looked at the fingers, at the toes, at the trunk, at the ribs, right? All of it. We have a body of research on Juice Plus that proves, and on plant-based nutrition, I should say, both. And they prove, that body of research proves that plant-based diets and Juice Plus capsules both provide the body essentially with what it needs to be healthy. And I want to mention that the berry blend, berries and grapes, are especially powerful in cardiovascular disease. Grapes and grape skins and grape stems, as well as most berries, contain many compounds, especially things like resveratrol. They're called anthocyanidins. They're purple things. And all these compounds, and many that haven't even been named yet, increase blood flow. That's one of the things they do. They dilate blood vessels and they increase blood flow. That's why the berry blend is so appreciated with athletes, professional athletes, and even weekend warriors, or maybe especially weekend warriors, because with more blood flow you get less lactic acid buildup, less cramps, you can go faster, longer, and especially you don't suffer the next day quite as much the way weekend warriors do on Monday. In addition, because of increased blood flow, men may appreciate a Viagra-like effect from a berry blend, which is very, very, very well studied, shall we say. The berry blend and berries in general also help to repair damaged blood vessels, the inside lining of damaged blood vessels, and it helps to prevent clots, and they lower inflammation. So the berries are really important. But what's interesting is they don't work all by themselves. They have some effect, of course, but they seem to work best when they're surrounded by all the other colors of the rainbow. There's synergy that's necessary. And by the way, that's how the whole world works. We all need synergy, not just biology, but here especially. It's marked that purple foods work better and have a much more powerful effect on blood vessels when they are in the setting of lots of green foods and red foods and all the other foods plants give us. So, all the studies that have been done on Juice Plus, and I'll mention a couple of them in a minute, but just to make it clear, all of them, 40 of them now, have used just 2 of each capsule of veggies, fruit, and berries. But there's, I think, good reason to take more if you're sick or if you're obese, or for me, if I'm just having a really bad food day, if I'm in the plane all day and I can't get not even close to 10 servings of fresh vegetables, I might take more capsules because it is food. We have a food label. It's food. It can't hurt you. And our newest product called Omega Blend is very exciting. It's a fish-less omega-3, 5, 7, 9, major in lowering of inflammation. I've seen some great lab results on my own patients who have switched from fish oil, and I'm eagerly awaiting studies which are already underway by the Juice Plus company to look at how the Omega Blend is going to really change the cell membrane and the fat composition in our blood. So a lot of reasons to be excited. But there's now 25 years already of published research on Juice Plus, and these things are published in big-name peer-reviewed journals. We have nearly 40 randomized controlled, double-blind, placebo-controlled, that is, clinical trials. They've been done at 30 or so major university and medical centers all over the world, actually 4 continents we've covered. And 18 of those 40 or so studies have specifically looked at risk factors in cardiovascular disease, and every single one of them have shown benefit, the exact same benefit we would expect if we were able to take a very concentrated plant food every day, which is exactly what Juice Plus is. So if you could concentrate plant phytonutrients and have them be such a variety as 30 different foods, you would see exactly what we're seeing, proof of which that this stuff gets into cells, is absorbed, is bioavailable, and so on. Juice Plus has been studied in a lot of different kinds of people. It's amazing. It's been studied in children, in kids, in elderly, in pregnant women, in sick people, in well people, in elite athletes, in cancer patients, in men, in women, in fat people, in skinny people, all over, all sorts of different things, and I'm sure I'm missing some there. And in all these studies, and over 3,000 people being studied in all these years, there has never been anything but a good side effect. There is no bad side effects from concentrated phytonutrients in a capsule. And there's also no studies that are hidden. Some of you that are in research or know this field know that big pharma and other companies that buy studies, if you will, they have a gag order. They have the absolute right for that study to not be published if they don't like the results. They can edit the results. They can gag the publisher, or the researcher, rather. We don't do that. Juice Plus Company has never done that. Everything's been published. We don't hide any results. There just haven't been any bad results. That makes sense, again, because it's food. They also seem to get the absolute best researcher in every field that's involved. So we've done studies on DNA damage, for example, at Brigham Young University, which is where they invented the technique to check DNA damage. And the list goes on. Georgetown University, University of Maryland, School of Medicine, Yale, University of Texas, and then, United Kingdom, Japan, Australia, Austria, Germany, Italy, all over the world have studied this product because researchers are eager to study this. It's a wonderful way to be able to look at what food really does without having to rely on food diaries and people's memories and so on. So these studies on Juice Plus represent really strong, important science as a way to really investigate what certain phytonutrients do in the body. And so about 18 of these 40 studies have looked at cardiovascular risk factors, if you will, and each of these studies have shown a decrease in those four nasty mechanisms that I mentioned before. So Juice Plus has been shown to multiple times decrease inflammation, decrease oxidative stress or rancid fats, is less rancid or oxidized cholesterol in people that take Juice Plus. It has decreased insulin resistance in overweight women, in young boys, in several other studies. It has decreased homocysteine, that toxin that I mentioned, in several studies as well. It's also, by the way, decreased blood pressure in a couple studies and increased lean body mass, which is really important in preventing blood pressure and heart disease. So there's two studies in particular. I'm not going to go through 18, I promise, but there's two in particular I would just like to share with you briefly. I think they illustrate the breadth of maybe how important this all is, not just for your heart. So the first is a I think, elegant study, which really impressed me. It was done back a little while ago, but it was published in the Journal of the American College of Cardiology. JACC is the cardiology journal. It's a huge accomplishment to be published in JACC, so that caught my eye back in the day right then. It was done by very famous researchers called Plotnick and Vogel. They've been known to study food for a long time. They study the difference between the fat from fish and the fat from beef and the fat from fast food and the fat from healthy things like avocados. So they're famous in the field also for studying what's called endothelial dysfunction, which is a fancy way of saying when your arteries don't work well. And so this is their background. So two things to just know before I explain the study. We know that one of the most important functions of an artery is to be able to quickly dilate or constrict as you need to at the right time in the right place in order to keep your blood pressure as low as it can be and still get blood to every cell. Right? So just like a garden hose, you can make the pressure higher by putting your thumb on the garden hose and having it be smaller. Pressure goes up, or lifting it off, pressure goes down, you have slower flow, and that's what an artery can do, make itself smaller or bigger to get blood where you need it to go. It's very, very important that it does this immediately when you need it. We also know that eating a meal that's very high in bad fats and saturated bad fats makes your arteries unable to properly or appropriately dilate for about 4 hours. They're paralyzed for about 4 hours from a high-fat meal. So this is a typical, not bad fat. This wouldn't happen with avocados and wild-caught salmon. This happens to be, in this study, a typical fast food breakfast. Literally, that's what they gave them, a fast food breakfast, something that millions of people eat, unfortunately, every single morning. So they fed a fast food breakfast to a bunch of subjects, and then they measured the ability of their arteries to dilate. And it was bad. All the subjects initially ate this stuff, and then their arteries just wouldn't dilate for a few hours. It was bad. And then they took fruit and the veggie caps for 28 days. Some of them did, some of them didn't. It was a placebo-controlled trial. And of the people who got the Juice Plus veggie and fruit caps, just those two, after only 28 days, there was a 60% improvement in those arteries' ability to dilate after they ate that same horrible breakfast. That's amazing. A 60% improvement. I mean, a drug company would go crazy for a drug that caused a 60% improvement in vasodilation. That would be a slam dunk. But it gets better. When they added the third capsule of the berry blend, and they did the same thing, 28 days on the berry blend, and then they fed these poor people this same fast food breakfast with, I think it was 50 grams of saturated fat in it. When you added the berry blend, now there was almost no effect from that meal on the arteries at all. Those 3 capsules were able in just 28 days to completely protect the endothelium, protect the artery from the effects of bad fat. Now, lest you think this is just for people who eat badly, no. We all are exposed to things that cause our arteries to become paralyzed like that. This is just a study to look at one of the ways we can do that. But pollutants, smog, environmental toxins, stress, many things can cause arteries to not dilate, and the same mechanism to protect them exists in food and in the Juice Plus capsules. And then the last study I want to tell you about is a very recent study that I think it's fair to say blew my mind. So background, food in addition to calories and nutrients, maybe one of the most important functions of food is information. Food speaks to your genes. Food is information. It tells your genes what's happening in the outside world. If there's plentiful fresh vegetables and fruit, then clearly we're not at war. Clearly we're not on the run from the saber-toothed tiger all day. Clearly we're in peace and prosperity, and we can repair tissues, we can grow, we can make babies, we can do all sorts of things that we do when we're well-fed and calm. But if the food we're eating is all sugar and starches, that's a signal to the body to raise insulin and to raise cortisol. Something's wrong. Evolutionarily, that's what happened. We only get high sugar when we make it ourselves in our liver, when we're super stressed out and our cortisol and our adrenaline levels are very high. So high sugar and high starch diet signals our genes that we should get worried and inflamed and start acting like there's a problem. And that's exactly what happens. So food is information. Food turns some genes on and some genes off, and that's how it signals what's going on in the outside world and what the body needs to prepare itself for. So this new study was just done at the University of Newcastle in Australia, and it was really a 2-part study, and the first part is all about cardiovascular disease, and the second part's all about inflammation and genes, so just to wet your whistle there. So they looked at overweight women, middle-aged women, obese and overweight middle-aged women, and the study was only 8 weeks long. But in only 8 weeks, the majority of women had a 3.5 decrease in cholesterol, which is huge in 2 months, which is equivalent to a 9% reduction in cardiovascular risk. Pretty cool for doing nothing but swallowing, 3 pills in the morning and 3 pills in the afternoon. But when they broke down those women into a subset of those that had chronic inflammation, had markers for chronic inflammation, which is a lot of people, those people had a much better result. Those people really needed the fruits and vegetables. So they had a 7%, not a 3.5%, but a 7% decrease in cholesterol in the same 8 weeks. But that is equivalent to a 19% reduction in cardiovascular risk. That's amazing. It's equivalent to about losing 20 pounds in terms of the risk reduction for heart disease. That's pretty cool. They also found that across the board, all the women had a significant reduction in the bad cholesterol called LDL cholesterol, not the good ones, just the bad ones. And they showed an increase in lean body mass. Pretty nice, right, for no work. And then they looked at what's called nutrigenomics, which is the study of how genes and food interact, which is a large part of what I do in my office, and which is kind of the future cutting-edge genetics and the interaction of the environment and food and other things with our genetics. And so they looked at the nutrigenomics of the women who had been on the Juice Plus, not the placebo group. And of the people who had taken Juice Plus, they found that in only 8 weeks, 1,600 genes had been affected by Juice Plus, specifically genes to help lower inflammation and lower our risk of chronic illness. So significant lowering of inflammation, a follow-up study because of these amazing results is already in the works, and I look forward to hearing about that. There are additional studies on muscle, on diabetic boys, on all sorts of things, surgical healing, studies on less wrinkles, by the way, which is also nice. And I just hope that understanding that this is not like your run-of-the-mill, I don't know, supplement out there that you see on the internet or that you hear about on Mercola. This is different. This is real food, not some scam. Real food doesn't go out of style. Real food isn't going to come up with the side effect 5 years from now. Real food isn't going to surprise you later. Real food heals. Real food is what we were designed to eat, but it's just so hard to get colorful, vine-ripened, clean food at a regular basis when you live in some of the places that we all live in year-round. And I think that we just even can't get enough nutrition from food anymore. You literally have to be eating all day and chewing it well and digesting it well, and many of us don't do that very well. So the availability of concentrated produce, of having a concentrate of the 30 most colorful, vine-ripened, cleaner than organic by far. There's no pesticide, herbicide, fungicide, lead, heavy metal, anything in Juice Plus, because it's tested 6 times from Sunday by independent labs who guarantee in writing what I just said. So you can be assured that you're getting something that's not only concentrated in the good sense, but not in the bad sense, and that has this entire body of research showing that it does exactly what food really does, but quicker and faster, and to be honest, more conveniently, more affordably, because I can't afford 8 servings of organic berries every day. I don't know about you guys, but that would be difficult. But $2.30 a day is affordable for just about everybody. And so I hope that this helps you keep your Juice Plus habit, or start it if you haven't, and share this message with as many people as you can, so we truly can change the world and affect our health. So I'm just going to close with a line that some of you have asked me to close with, because I guess you liked it. But many years ago I said that if you knew what I knew, meaning if you'd read all the studies I've read, because I've read every single study on Juice Plus more than once, and if you knew everything that I knew, you would never let anybody that you care about go a day without eating some vegetables, eating some fruit, and eating some Juice Plus capsules. Thank you, Cheryl.
Thank you, Dr. Sachs. And I do love when you say that, because I know the basis of education and knowledge that you have in relation to the body and the whole medical world. And when you say that, it really, for years, I've been so proud of the fact that I happen to be lucky enough that I'm part of the Juice Plus company, and that I have been swallowing Juice Plus now. I've never missed a day in the 25 or over 25 years we've had Juice Plus, and the same for my family. And I just think we're really blessed. I would not have known how to take care of myself nutritionally as well as I've been able to do all these years, or have the level of health that I have. And I look around and I see that in so many, many people we work with in our business, people who are my family that, I love dearly. I love my distributors too, but I also, the people that we see in our customer base, it truly becomes very visual that people are having great success. Just their look, their energy. I think that, nothing looks better than good health, and we certainly see that with Juice Plus. So thank you so much for your information and your time. We are extremely blessed to have people like Dr. Sachs who, come and give their time and their information and really help educate us in so many ways that we can make a difference, not only for ourselves personally, but again, for those people that we love and that we come across on a daily basis. We're also very fortunate that we have been working with and are blessed to be working with the Juice Plus company. For myself, as I said, 31 years. I think if we added up the years of all the people on this line that have been with the Juice Plus company, the number would be astronomical. Okay.
Yeah.
It would be, because Dr. Sachs, you've been with us a number of years.
18 years.
What?
18 years. I haven't missed a day at Juice Plus in 18 years.
18 years,
Yeah.
So you look at this not only from a standpoint of health and nutrition and what it's done for us over this time, but also from a career standpoint. As you said, fruits and vegetables and berries are not going to go out of style. Good food is not going to go out of style. So from a business standpoint, we're very blessed as well because our company is one that's very generous. The man who started this company is a very young man, nearly 50 years ago, is still the man who runs it today. It was his baby then. It's still his baby. And so there is huge, I think, caring not only for the general population, because if you look at our product lines, it's all about safety, health, and well-being for humankind. And so there are always great programs, to really encourage our team members to stretch out and share this story with others. And if you, on the line tonight, will get with the person who invited you and also your upline national marketing director and talk about the new incentive programs that have come out to go into sales coordinator. It's the latest new surprise, I guess you would say, of them gifting us with encouragement as well as bonuses to really reach that sales coordinator level, which is top commission position. So you might say that position is half the price or half the work for more bonus money. So it's kind of on sale for the next 2 months. So find out about that from your upline and really enjoy and I'm very blessed to be working with each and every one of you. And once again, Dr. Sachs, thank you so much for information that is so vital for all of us, for our health and well-being and longevity. We want to, live long and healthy, not just long. So thank you again, and we'll say good night to everyone on the line. Good night, folks.
Thank you, Cheryl.
Good night, everyone.
Thank you.